All right, so welcome back to Dapp University. So today we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to look at some of the latest news in the Ethereum space and the blockchain space as a whole. Tend to focus a lot on Ethereum on this channel because that's, after all, what I do as a blockchain developer or with Ethereum on a daily basis. People ask me this question all the time. Why don't you talk about this, that, and the other? Well, that's primarily what I do every day. So we're talking about that. We're looking at the cryptocurrency markets as a whole. What do I think about, what's happening right now, and some things you need to watch out for coming down the pike. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so I got people jumping in the chat here. We've got Culture Hive, Jessica, Eugen, Cryptechnology, CK, Nate, Hassan. Awesome. Welcome. Very cool. So today let's jump into the first kind of thing I want to talk about here. Let me just make sure my settings are working okay. So, I've got a lot I want to talk about today. The current news situation, it seems like it's been crazy lately. There's always been so much to talk about. It seems like something else is blowing up that I see happening on Twitter, like some new companies like buying a bunch of Bitcoin. We see some like major leap towards adoption of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. Seems like every other day. So today, is a little bit boring in that regard. Like there's nothing crazy happening with the crypto markets. There's nothing like insane happening, some crazy news story. But one thing that quietly crept under the radar that I don't think people are talking about enough, which to me is really important, is a major milestone that's happened for Ethereum. Okay, and that's the first thing I want to talk about today. So that's this here. Sorry, I don't know, my webcam's not working. Let me just fix that. Let me just put my camera on screen here. Sorry, everybody. Thanks for bearing with the technical difficulties. Sometimes my camera like turns off and then my streaming software decides to forget the connection to my camera. So there we go. Awesome. So the first thing I want to talk about today is a major milestone that's happened for Ethereum that I think is kind of quietly slid under the radar that most people aren't really talking about. So that's total value locked in DeFi has crossed $50 billion. So why is this such a big deal? Okay, so this website right here is DeFiPulse.com. It tracks all the activity happening in decentralized finance or DeFi applications. It measures a variety of metrics. One of the kind of leading metrics they look at is TVL, total value locked. So a lot of these DeFi applications, they actually take cryptocurrency and they lock them in their application in some way to perform different functions. So example, like Uniswap, it needs cryptocurrency in the application to power the order books. So liquidity pools. So, like Uniswap has automatic market maker technology. You put cryptocurrency into it as a passive income and you earn a passive income reward for doing that. Okay. And that powers the Uniswap application. It allows this DeFi application to actually work. Okay. It needs the liquidity to function. Same type of thing for these other applications like Maker, Compound. Maker, you need to put cryptocurrency in it in order to mint DAI. It used to just be Ether. Now it's more than that. So anyways, we've seen this kind of pop up with liquidity mining incentives or yield farming. People are saying, hey, we want you to put money into our app to help us bootstrap the liquidity. We'll give you tokens for doing that. And you see people like, chasing these yields, these really high APYs. That was kind of the thing that kicked off the big DeFi craze, yield farming craze last summer. And so, TVL is one metric we like to follow to kind of see the performance of this. And of course, DeFi was one of the first major innovations on top of Ethereum, especially for 2020. I mean, it was arguably one of the things that kind of kicked off a lot of the excitement around. It was one of the first really great use cases for smart contracts on top of Ethereum that really found product market fit that exploded. Okay. And TVL kind of tracks the success of that. So we can see it over the past year here. We can see it's gone up like absolutely like crazy. So I made a video in January when we were here at, let's see, $16 billion of TVL. Yeah, $16 billion of total value locked. We're just crossed 50 billion. In January, I made the prediction that I thought we would see $100 billion in TVL in 2021. So that was my formal prediction in January. And honestly, that was kind of conservative. I like to try to make conservative predictions because that means it's way more likely that they'll be right. Also, it's a pet peeve of mine. People give you unrealistic predictions just to get attention. And that's not what I'm trying to do here. So I think it's a realistic prediction, and we're halfway there. Okay. So, yeah, this is crazy that we are halfway to that goal. That's a major milestone in my opinion. Okay, that's the key thing. And part of this shows you the adoption that's happening on the Ethereum network. I mean, like I said, if you go to the all chart here, you can see this absolutely just lift off the floor. You know, I was in this space basically this entire time. I mean, really all this was tracking at this point is like probably just what's happening with MakerDAO and DAI. But I was really watching projects start to, you know, take off here. It was a slow grind, and it even went down until boom, right? So it's absolutely nuts. So one thing you also have to think about with this metric is also cryptocurrency prices are going to affect this. So as the bull market continues and as cryptocurrency prices just increase in value, TVL is going to increase by nature. So there's multiple things affecting this. Of course, adoption is one, more people putting money into these applications, but also just the cryptocurrency prices going up themselves will, you know, affect this number. So for example, there's a lot of Ether locked in these applications. Just by nature of the ETH price going up, this metric will increase as well. So you have to have some literacy. Of course, TVL is not the only metric you can look at. Not even, it's arguably not even a perfect metric, but it's really impressive. And I do think that we will be on track to hit that $100 million mark, or $100 billion mark, excuse me, in 2021. But it's really impressive that we essentially just crossed the halfway point in the first quarter. So that's still like based on a set of assumptions, the assumption that the bull market will continue, that we'll, you know, see everything that I think we're going to this year, which I think we will. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. So we got people in the chat here. ENS, yeah. Somebody says, the first crypto video ever watched and grateful for your influence. Awesome. Yeah. Great. Hope everybody's, you know, out there doing well, prospering, making a little bit of money. Okay, so let's go check on the overall prices today. So let's start off with you know, Bitcoin and Ether. So honestly, it's a little bit boring. I mean, today's a little bit of a boring day in crypto. These boring days happen. We can just kind of check and see what's going on with Bitcoin price as sort of a leading market indicator. I mean, some people say it's not boring that we've seen this kind of stuff, this sharp drop, right? Some people say that's not boring. Maybe they bought at 59,000, but honestly, these like percentage swings are not that big on Bitcoin. That they look big because of the, you know, actual dollar amounts, but percentage terms, it's not that bad. But, you know, that being said, in market cap terms, it is kind of a big deal because, I mean, if Bitcoin had moved by 1,000, you know, by $1,000 in a day in either direction last summer, it would have been pretty crazy when the price was hovering around low $9,000, $10,000, something like that. So I see. I mean, this is a little bit of bearishness. To me, it's kind of just boring. I feel like we're still in that kind of consolidation phase. I see people talking about we're ready for the next leg up, all that kind of stuff. You know, we'll see. I think overall the trend is bullish here. We can check on Ether as well. So yeah, you know, we broke 2K. Of course, we've seen this dump here. Not really sure what's going on with that. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. I didn't see anything when I was prepping for the live stream this morning that would concern me. But yeah, we went above 2K. And I talked about this, how I thought Ether was ready for some kind of, you know, sharp move upward when we were here. It did. So it went past 2100. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly how we would go, but we did that. I see a lot of people kind of talking about the next leg up for ETH. Of course, we kind of tend to get boring for a while. It's these slow rises, and then boom, we see a jump. You know, boring, then boom, we see a jump. You can see that pattern play out pretty much throughout the entire price history of the asset. You know, and it can also go both ways, right? You can boom, we can go down, but I don't have any big picture indicators to think that that's gonna happen right now. So for a long term, I mean, we could always see something happen where it just like, you know, dumps, but I don't see anything that would lead me to believe that our trend is getting reversed, our macro trend, or not macro trend, but our overall trend in the markets. So we can look at the Nupal chart here on Glassnode, some on-chain analytics. Kind of took a look at the overall Bitcoin supply as a little bit of a temperature check for the entire crypto market. You know, Bitcoin's really important for this market. Of course, you know, that's the number one institutional pick. We talked about that yesterday when we talked about institutions getting into Ether. We saw the video clip yesterday where they were talking about hey, we like this Ethereum thing. We're talking about our institutional clients. We're trying to get them sold on cryptocurrency at all. The first logical pick is Bitcoin, but after that, we were fans of Ether and other cryptocurrencies. I mean, I think we'll see that. I think we'll see that trickle down the market cap list for sure. But I think the next logical stopping point is Ether, especially with everything that's happening right now, all the innovation, everything I showed you on that DeFi chart. Ether is definitely the next logical conclusion for institutions. So anyways, I still think Bitcoin's a really good indicator of the overall market health. We can look at the Newell chart, the on-chain metrics that actually kind of give us an indication of that. We have been moving away from this euphoric territory. So big picture, right? Like blue is bad for the overall market health. Pretty much any time in Bitcoin's history that we've entered into the blue territory, we've seen a pretty sharp price correction. Okay, and usually an extended price correction. Okay, so we were quickly approaching that before, and then every time we get close to that line, we make a dump. Right, every time we get close to that line, it dumps again. Okay, so the thing about the Newell chart, it's based upon profit and loss. So when people lose money, it certainly sucks. Like nobody wants to lose money. Nobody wants that to happen. But it does give us more headroom to rise, okay? And we've kind of seen the price get a little boring, which means the Newell metric has gotten boring, and it's given us a chance to make some more headroom where we're a lot farther away than that. So you can see we're basically, we were at $60,000 with a lot more headroom than we were before. So anyways, on-chain metrics look good. Some things to watch out for. Okay, I've been talking on this channel about Web 3.0. I've got a video on that coming out pretty soon. Maybe one last week, but I wanted to follow up on this because I think it is a trend that can potentially start to heat up a little bit in the blockchain space. We see these, trends kind of come up. Blockchain, of course, is a huge trend about how it's a disruptive technology, how it's, really gaining lots of adoption. That's really great for cryptocurrency prices as a whole. People just their sentiment on blockchain transfers to their sentiment on cryptocurrency. But we see these smaller trends, right? We see NFTs, we see DeFi, we see all this other stuff. And I talked about Web 3.0 potentially being another trend that people can latch onto because they see the benefits, censorship resistance, the next generation of the internet. They're familiar with Web 1.0, 2.0, now Web 3.0. So it's something they can connect with. We have working Web 3.0 projects out there. We saw Filecoin kind of do its thing. Of course, it's cooled off quite a bit since it did its thing. But that could be the beginning of other Web 3.0 projects starting to do their thing, so to speak. Of course, not financial advice. I'm thinking about it more from the perspective of a long-term opportunity for people who want to get into the space and jump into Web 3.0, learn the skills. This is a great time to do it right now. Or if you're talking about building a project around Web 3.0, now's a great time to do it. So another thing is, these things that kind of come and go, like they come in cycles, right? One possibility is that we see another sort of DeFi season, kind of like what we did last summer. I'm not saying it'd be the same magnitude necessarily, but if we start to see the same class of tokens start to do their thing, then sometimes people kind of associate that, hey, this is going to do it for other similar projects. You know what I mean? We kind of see these little clusters move around. So we can look at one like Aave, for example. So everybody's got this like crazy dip right now. What time did this happen? So basically this happened probably like as I was starting this live stream. So maybe it's maybe there's some other news that's happened that I haven't been watching while I was getting ready. But if somebody knows, let me know down in the chat and we'll talk about it. But yeah, we've seen Aave Lend kind of start to recover from, like you can see the chart here. It made this crazy run up, right? And then it's kind of cooled off here. And now we start to see a little bit of bullishness. So who knows? Aave has been a pretty big leader in the DeFi space in terms of price action and also innovation. So this could be a sign of good things to come for other DeFi projects as well. Maybe we'll see another DeFi season. So other things to think about on your calendar coming up really soon is definitely the Coinbase IPO. Okay, so this is something that people have been talking about a ton. So this is Coinbase, you know, the really popular US-based cryptocurrency exchange. I mean, I use it. I mean, people have been talking about for a long time now about the IPO. So it's a direct listing to the stock market. They're going to be listed on NASDAQ under the ticker COIN, so COIN. This is definitely something you want to watch out for. So not necessarily, I mean, if you want to participate in the Coinbase IPO, of course, not financial advice. That's you know, your prerogative. But the other thing is what's going to happen to the cryptocurrency markets. There's three possibilities. It's good for the crypto markets, it's bad for the crypto markets, or it has no effect. Okay, so I've seen basically opinions on all three of those, right, floating around about what's going to happen with the Coinbase IPO and the crypto markets. So I don't have a solid position on any of those things. If you do, let me know down in the comment section below. But this is something to keep on your radar for sure, because, you know, it could potentially impact what's going on in the space right now. And not that saying it would necessarily be, if it does, it wouldn't necessarily be long-term, could be temporary, right? But definitely something to keep on your radar. The other thing is we keep talking about over and over and over again on this channel, but keep in mind layer 2 scaling solutions, okay? So we talk about layer 2 scaling solutions as being a thing for Ethereum that really helps the speed, the throughput, the transaction fees. It's one of the biggest complaints on Ethereum is, you know, it's too slow, it's too expensive, nobody's ever going to use it in the current state. Of course, we were super excited about the layer 2 scaling solutions with Optimism that were supposed to launch in March. Didn't quite meet that timeline. It's gotten pushed back. But that's something to keep up for. I mean, summer's going to be here before you know it, all right? The Uniswap version 3 release is going to happen in early May. I can't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but it's basically a month away. So basically a month away, we're going to have a new and improved Uniswap. Shortly after, at least from the advertised release dates, we'll have a Uniswap on layer 2 with Optimism. Now, again, Optimism is pushed back to the summer for everybody. This is my understanding. They pushed back to the summer for basically everybody to be an open platform for everybody to build on. Right now, it's like a closed platform for whitelisted people to build on. And my understanding is basically like, you know, Uniswap's on the whitelist essentially to build their product. And my understanding is that they'll be able to launch earlier than others. That's my understanding. We'll see if that happens. But that's basically a month away. So that's something to really watch out for too. I think it's going to be a huge sentiment shift for ETH. I think we're already starting to see a sentiment shift for ETH simply because the price is going up now. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. People judge the, you know, people don't totally, there's a big disconnect between the cryptocurrency prices and the fundamentals a lot of times. Sometimes things are detached from fundamentals in either direction. Sometimes things are way overvalued for projects that basically do nothing, and sometimes things are undervalued for projects that do everything. Okay, so I mean that's assuming that you think cryptocurrency markets are rational in the first place, but yeah, that's something to watch out for. So, got any questions in the chat here? Somebody says, awesome, they're here to learn. Yeah, very cool. Me too. Can I share my views on Link? So I think Link's a great project. I've worked with Chainlink quite a bit in the past. I've sponsored their hackathons. I don't have a ton of thoughts on their cryptocurrency price about where it's going to go, what it's going to do, all that kind of stuff. But if anybody doesn't know what Link does, I'll kind of tell you about that right now. So Link solves the Oracle problem for blockchain. So what does that mean? I'll just draw it on my chart here. That'll really help people kind of understand this, especially if you're not a coder. And if I've actually got tutorials on my channel on how to use Chainlink. So if you're not a coder and you want to like literally get your hands dirty with Chainlink, how do you use it just to see how it works? I mean, you can go watch any of those Chainlink tutorials. Just go to my YouTube homepage, find my free courses there. Some of them have Chainlink in the title. Just go watch those. So I'll explain what Chainlink is though, if you don't want to do that right now, and how it works. So Basically, a smart contract is just code on a blockchain. Okay. So basically, like if you have a smart contract here, okay, um, it's code that's on a blockchain. So what does the blockchain know? Well, the blockchain is basically a closed system. So all it really knows is like, hey, what's my account balance? If I have a MetaMask wallet right here, okay, it's got some Ether in it. Let's just say it's got 1 ETH or something like that. The blockchain knows that I have 1 ETH. If I send, 0.5 ETH to you, the blockchain facilitates that transfer, and it now knows that I have 0.5 ETH and you have 0.5 ETH because I just sent you some, and now you have the difference, right? So I can also take my 0.5 ETH that I now have and swap it on Uniswap. Let's say this is the Uniswap smart contract here for 1,000 DAI, for example, a stable crypto, or USDC, so a fiat-backed stablecoin. So I can swap it for 1,000 USD, and now the Ethereum network knows that I have 1,000 USDC, 0 ETH, and it facilitated this transaction with this smart contract on the blockchain. So this smart contract in that case, all it knows about natively on the blockchain is what my account balance was, how much ETH was in this smart contract, and how much USDC there was, and it facilitated that transfer. It doesn't actually know the current price of Ether or anything like that. Okay, so if the smart contract wants to know the current price of Ether, it has to fetch that information from the outside world, okay? Because that's not information that's not stored on the blockchain. This is a concept a lot of beginners don't totally understand. It's okay. I didn't get this when I was first starting either, but you have to understand it. Cryptocurrencies derive their value from the market. What are people willing to buy it for? What price is the market willing to pay for it? That's where it gets its value from. It's not like hard coded into the cryptocurrency somewhere itself. Okay, it's got nothing to do with the code of the cryptocurrency. The market, what it sells for in exchanges, that's what sets the price. Okay, supply and demand. So if you want to get that information, you have to pull it in from the outside world. Okay, so basically, you could make an API call, which is just basically like going to a website and typing in, google.com and then asking like what is cryptocurrency price, but instead of going it through a user interface like that, you just talk to the server directly. That's basically what an API call is. So your smart contract can't really make API calls by themselves because for lots of reasons. One of the main reasons is all the smart contracts can't do it simultaneously. And they would essentially get out of sync because I forget the smart contract exists on multiple nodes in the network. So essentially, like they can't all do it at the same time and guarantee the same result because the price could change in between the time that different smart contracts make the request. So basically, you need something called an oracle that makes this request for you and then provides that information to all the nodes basically that run this smart contract to get that price information. So that's what Chainlink is. It's an oracle. All right, you need an oracle to get outside information that does not exist on the blockchain onto the blockchain for smart contracts, okay? And we've seen oracle solutions in the past. Some are not good, some of the early ones, because they're centralized. Essentially, like I could be an oracle. You could just trust me and say, hey, let's just use the Dapp University Oracle. It's just one guy sitting there saying, hey, what's the current price of Ether? I can say, okay, I'll look it up on Google and then type it in. And you just have to trust that whatever I'm saying is right, okay? But that's not a good strategy, right? I could just lie and say it's $1. You know what I mean? So you use something called the decentralized Oracle network, where essentially it works kind of like the blockchain, where it uses a bunch of different nodes. Let's just pull up our original diagram here. Let's just move it over. It uses a bunch of different nodes that all fetch the information. All right, and they all have some sort of consensus that basically, like, they kind of, a really rough explanation is they kind of come to an agreement on the price. That's a approximate explanation. Okay, and all those different parties provide the same information to this smart contract. So basically, there's economic incentives to act honestly, to get redundant copies of this information and provide the price to the smart contract. And so basically these are nodes, they're node operators, and they are rewarded with link tokens for doing this. So if you want to get information from Chainlink, you pay, essentially these guys, you have to hold link tokens, and you buy the information from them, and you pay them in link, and they're rewarded for doing that. So that's what the Chainlink token is for. That's what it does. And yeah, that's why we need oracles. That's the whole problem that it solves. So it's an awesome project. Great question, by the way. Somebody says market size doubled in the first 3 months. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Somebody says coming in late, but do I think that ETH, Polkadot, and ADA can coexist, or Cardano? Yeah, I mean, I don't see why they can't coexist. That doesn't necessarily mean that there will be an even distribution of market share by any stretch of the imagination, but there's no reason they can't coexist. So what is Filecoin? So Filecoin is a coin that basically built on IPFS, which is the interplanetary file system. So if you go to my diagram here, you see this, like, there's different decentralized protocols here. There's the Oracle protocol. Think about redundancy being a really important value of decentralization. You need redundancy in order to basically increase the likelihood that information will be correct. So you have this decentralized Oracle network here. You have decentralized nodes on a blockchain that help maintain a copy of all the public information around the network. But IPFS uses decentralized file storage. So basically, like, you have a bunch of nodes, and they're responsible for, maintaining files. So if you wanted to build a decentralized Dropbox, for example, you could put it on an IPFS, okay? And then all these different computers would act kind of like a blockchain. It's not really a blockchain, but it's kind of like a blockchain in that it shares the same property of redundancy and distribution and distributed computing. And then all these nodes that run the IPFS network, help do that. So Filecoin takes it to the next level and then adds an economic incentive on top of that. And that's what the Filecoin itself, the cryptocurrency, is for. It's the economic incentive layer of the Filecoin network built on IPFS. Let's see here. What's my thought on the future of compound? So I'm assuming they mean compound finance. They may be talking about, like, compound with their compound chain, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure. I think it's an interesting experiment. Yeah, we'll just wait and see. I don't have a strong opinion. What's my opinion on the Uniswap V3 move? There's a lot of cool stuff with Uniswap V3. You can go check out the video that I did about it. You can go to my YouTube homepage and, like, search for Uniswap. You'll see it come up. Honestly, I think the biggest thing is just launching on layer 2. I mean, there's lots of other cool stuff in there, like the improvement of the capital efficiency, like the narrow, like, you can choose what range you want to supply liquidity to. All that stuff's really cool. A lot of great optimizations. I think the biggest improvement, honestly, is the layer 2. I think that's what most people are going to care about. I think most people use Uniswap are the end users, so the people who go there swap tokens. That's what they're going to care about the most. I mean, they get a benefit by having less slippage, but I think the fees for most traders are going to outweigh the benefit of the slippage, or they'll provide a greater benefit than the slippage. Because if you go to Uniswap and you trade $100 and it's 2% slippage, and you can reduce that to 1% slippage, that's not as big a benefit as taking the gas fee down by, $50 or something like that. Speaking of L2, what solutions do I see getting the most adoption? That's a good question. Earlier before, I was super excited about optimism. I do think that the delay does give some of these other solutions a little bit more time to kind of get their stuff together and gain adoption as well. I've always said that we'll probably see a consolidation around a few different ones. So I think prominent applications type of Ethereum will play a strong role in influencing that decision. So I think Uniswap's choice of optimism, also synthetics on optimism. I've seen other projects talking about it too. I think those types of things are very bullish for the optimism solution. That being said, I do think there's room for others to gain significant market share and maybe still become the leader. So we'll see. There's also some talk that optimistic rollups are the best short-term solution, but that ZK rollups are the best long-term solution. So, I mean, who knows if we'll actually do what's best in the long term, or if we'll get so attached to optimistic rollups that that's what becomes prevailing for the long term anyway. It's hard to say, but you kind of have to adjust your expectations accordingly. All right, everybody, so that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. If you like these videos, you're fascinated with this technology, you want to build an app maybe with Chainlink, like I talked about here earlier in the video, how can you do that? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find any of my free courses there, like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. If you like those, you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you become a blockchain master step-by-step from start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. Okay, you don't have to be an expert to get started today. I thought people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. All right, so that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.